Good morning, everybody. My name's Peter Forshaw. I'm the Managing Director for a company called Maxwell Stevens. I'm delighted to host another webinar this morning. And this morning I have Will Easton joining me, who's a leading facilities management consultant in the industry. Good morning, Will.
Good morning, Peter. How are you?
Yeah, superb. Thanks. Thanks ever so much for doing this. So I'd like to kick off by asking you, how have you been managing in the current circumstances?
Fairly well, actually. Personally, I've been keeping myself very active, getting out with the dog, walking a lot. Been learning how to make sourdough.
Excellent.
But for my weekends are taken up baking in the kitchen, doing a lot of photography, a lot of music, and learning, keeping myself kind of mentally stimulated, doing a lot of courses online, along with the day job. So it's been quite a productive and busy period. And then from a kind of business point of view, we've been very busy. So that's been a positive throughout all this.
Yeah. I've watched quite a few of your LinkedIn posts actually with interest about some of the global projects you've been involved with. So it's very interesting.
Yeah, we are a small consultancy of 9 people from North Yorkshire, and we're involved in projects in Japan and Singapore with the Kojima Corporation, which is all kind of very exciting. We probably don't sing about it enough and kind of tell people what we're doing, but we are trying to get there, and that's one of the hats that I wear, try to tell people what we are doing.
Sure.
So it's an exciting time.
So bearing in mind what we've been through, the UK and the world, I think I worked out the other day, I think we're 22 weeks into the situation at the moment. How do we get back to normal or return to work, return to the offices?
Well, I think first of all, we don't want to rush anything. Now, that might sound a bit counterproductive because I know we need to get the economy back on track, and I know people need to be places, they need to get to work, get the wheels of commerce turning again. But if we look at what's happened in France this week, and an increase in cases again, which means face masks are now mandatory within the majority of workplaces. So add that into the equation with social distancing, screens, one-way signage within the workplace. Suddenly, that human-centric workplace that we all crave and that we're all in a rush to get back to is kind of being taken away bit by bit. And I just wonder if something like that happens again in the UK. I've got a feeling it will. I'm sure we'll see a second wave or more sanctions to what we can and can't do. Then I wonder what kind of that effect's going to have on people, A, wanting to go back to the workplace, and B, being able to go back to the workplace. So that's that's one thing that's kind of sprung into my mind this week. Secondly, this is an opportunity to collect so much data. People are, how people move, people's behaviours, people's well-being. There's so much information being collected at the moment. A lot of it subjective and purely opinions, some of it really good quality data. And acting on the truths that come out of that data, I think is kind of really important and is going to be critical in getting back to work quicker and successfully.
Do you think that is because we've got more time at the moment? So the FM community is undertaking activities that perhaps they didn't have time to do before? Or do you think they've always collected this data?
Well, a bit of both, really. I think the data has been collected historically. If it's been used or used correctly is a different conversation. The FM community is really good at keeping information, storing information, but if they're the best at utilising that information, to the advantage of themselves, for the organisation, for their clients, is questionable.
Yeah. And what activities can we do once we've got this data? What sort of changes, differential, projects can we implement? What is the outcome of collecting all this data?
Well, I think the really interesting thing is it tells a lot about people's behaviours, about where they want to be, where they need to go. Looking at transit and where people have offices, that's absolute gold. So we're at a point where if and it's really hard to measure productivity, but if we can formulate a way that a business thinks is an accurate perception of what productivity is, and match that with the data of where people are working, how they're getting to those places of work, what tools they're using, that's really vital.
Brilliant. And what do you think, or what do you predict, should I say, the future of the facilities management industry to look like?
Oh, this is a contentious one. I mean, it's kind of on a cliff edge at the moment, and it could go a number of ways. The facilities management industry, and I've thought about this for a long time. I've spoken about it a lot. It's really kind of shone a light. The recent pandemic has really shone a light on how vital FM is.
Yeah.
And it has rightly made a song and dance about it. It's an industry there to get people working, to get people moving, to keep businesses turning. It might not be the most glamorous at times, and it might not be at the forefront of everybody's mind, but it's kind of that important linchpin that underpins everything. Now, where we are at the moment, we've made the song and dance, and kind of rightly so celebrated the industry, but it really pains me, and I get quite angry and upset about it. I'm now seeing, and you being in your position will see it as well, the amount of people that are suddenly from the FM industry that have found themselves out of work recently, and to me it grates on me, because I'm like, well, a few weeks ago we were saying how important and how great these people are, and now businesses are deciding they're not that great, they're not that important. That is an area that we can kind of shed a head count in, and that annoys me. That really annoys me. But beyond that, I think the FM industry itself, it has to be a lot quicker to adapt to change, and not just through these extraordinary circumstances where it has shown how kind of quickly it can adapt and support clients and get people working back to the offices. But going beyond that, there has to be a constant appetite to change, to innovate, to drive things forward, which I don't think the FM industry has always been great at.
Yeah.
Once they've got something, they're amazing at delivering it, but I think they're always kind of late to the party, as it were. So I think there's an opportunity for other people, other services to kind of provide something that's quicker, cheaper, has a better user experience to the clients. And I also think the FM industry needs to really support the workers that are on the front line, that are doing those jobs like help desk jobs, working on CAFAM systems of PPMs and maintenance requests. A lot of those roles are still very much site-based, very desk-based, kind of very anchored to one position. And I think the attitude needs to change, where a lot more can be done from a dispersed pool of people rather than central locations, which saves on money, it saves on recruitment headaches and the churn of staff. And I think the FM industry kind of really needs to get into a positive stride thinking around those items.
Hopefully this period will give people that time to come up with those, you know, innovative and sort of positive ideas.
Yeah, I certainly hope so. You know, they should have the breathing space, I think. But, you know, they're living and breathing it at the same time. So it's a good time to experiment and not just theorise on things.
No, that's brilliant. Thank you, Will. I've really enjoyed talking to you today, and we'll speak soon and keep well.
Thank you, Peter.